Chrissy here from the Creative Eclectic. Hope you're having a fabulous day. Today I'm going to share with you a card that's based on the second Stampin' Up card that I ever made. So this is a card. So the original card that I made had different words, and at the time, instead of using a smoky slate, there was a silver cardstock. But this is a design that I go back to time and time again. It's quick and it's simple and it looks very effective. But I was thinking about it and I thought there must be an even easier way to get a similar look with the Lovely as a Tree stamp set, which is retiring, and also with some of the stamp sets that might replace it in the new catalogue. So let's take a look. I'll leave that one there so you can see it. So today we're just going to use some Silver Edge Foil note cards. Okay. So we've got our bone folder. We're just going to flatten it out. Now, I've got a piece of acetate and the window sheet, and I've cut out a oval, and I've cut the window sheet a little bit bigger than the front of my card, and I'm just going to place it so the oval's in round about the centre. And the reason I've cut the acetate a little bit bigger than my card is so that I don't get any wayward ink. Okay. So now I've got some Night of Navy ink. Now this is the old style ink pad, so it's obviously well used. And I'm going to do 3 variations of this card, so bear with me. And first up, I'm going to use a sponge. Now these sponges are super cheap. You can pop them in a laundry bag in the washing machine with your towels, and all the ink just comes straight out of it because it's a water-based ink. So I'm just going to ink up my sponge, and very gently from outside, so you've got a clear area in the middle. This is your mask, the other area is masked off. So from outside the mask, I'm just going to gently sponge inwards. Now the sponge has fairly large holes in it, and we don't want to be too heavy-handed with it, because if we're too heavy-handed, you're going to not see your stamped image. So we're going to do this one with the Lovely as a Tree stamp set, but it is retiring. Sadly, I never thought that I'd see the day, but it's retiring. So my Lovely as a Tree stamp set is really old, and it's a wood mount, and it's very, very well loved and a bit stained because that's what happens from time to time. So we're just going to ink it up. Now I've got a piece of scrap white. You could use your grid paper, but I'm just going to stamp off because I don't want it quite so dark. And just in the middle, I'm going to press down firmly. So this is what you call second generation stamping. Now I've still got the mask on, so I can just soften the edges a little bit, and you'll see that the mask was a little bit smaller than the stamp, and that's okay, that was meant to be like that. What we're going to do is take our mask off. Now at this point I recommend that you use your chamois or a cloth and you wipe the ink off your mask. And make sure you wipe your hands as well, because you don't want to have inky hands and ruin the card. So hang on a sec, I'll just wipe this off the camera. Okay. So now you can see I've inked. I didn't quite have it in the centre, but I'm going to say that was deliberate. And I've got my second stamp, which is a single tree. I'm just going to ink that up. And just going to stamp it and press it down firmly. And there we go. I probably should have had it over a bit more to the left, but it doesn't look too bad. And so it covers up any of the gaps on that side. Now I wanted some words. Now I could make it another Christmas stamp, but I need some thank you cards. So I'm going to use some words from the Love What You Do stamp set. And hopefully these aren't too big. And again, inking it up in navy. And there we go. So I've got my first little card. So that looks pretty good, I reckon. So it looks very similar to the first one. And of course, these note cards come with a beautiful silver foil envelope. So normally I'd decorate the inside of a card, but because these are note cards, I'm not going to, but I will stamp the envelope. Just so that it adds a bit of interest and people can see that it's handmade. I'm just going to put a tree there. Not the perfect stamping, I mustn't have inked it up in the middle, but it goes in the post and people throw out the envelope anyway, so not particularly worried about that. So that's my first one using the Lovely as a Tree stamp set. And again, you're going to clean off your stamps with your chamois. As I said, this is a really well loved stamp set. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to do this with 3 different stamp sets, so you just can compare them. So I've got another piece of card. Just use my bone folder to burnish the edge to make sure that it's nice and crisp. I'm going to put my mask on. Try and get it in the centre this time. That's what grid lines are for. It doesn't particularly matter if it's not exactly dead centre. Okay. So the next stamp set I'm going to use is the Winter Woods. So it has a beautiful tree. It has some woods. So very similar. It also has Into the Woods matching dies. So if you wanted to use this stamp at another time, you could, and you wouldn't have to fussy cut it. And that's the other thing you could do with this one, is you could, instead of stamping flat, you can fussy cut. Now, this is a clear mount stamp, not a cling mount stamp. So because it's very damp here today, it's not sticking to the block quite as well. So I've just got a glue dot and I stick onto my block. press it down. Have to remember to clean the glue dot off. So, might need another glue dot on the top. I'm going to have very inky fingers after this. I'll just wipe off my hands. Again, just ink it up. Got a piece of scrap, back side of the scrap that I used before. I'm just going to ink it off once. And I want the tops of the trees to be showing, but not necessarily the bottom. Now you could change the size of the oval mask that you've used, or you could use a different shape if you wanted. I'm just using ovals because that's the shape that I had. So there you go, you've got your tree. And I did this one differently to the other one in that I stamped first and I forgot to do the inking or sponging. So I'm using a sponge dauber this time, and I take it from the outside of my thing and just very lightly, I want it quite heavy around the edge, and I've adhered the mask with washi tape so it doesn't move. And so this one I've been a bit heavier handed than the first one, but that's okay. Every time you make a card it will be different. Just going to use my chamois. Don't get it over my fingers when I take it off. Okay, so see it's very, very dark when you use the sponge dauber. I might have had a lot of ink already on that sponge dauber because I only used that one for Night of Navy. So I'm just going to ink up my tree. And again, it needs some glue dots on the back of it because it it is quite humid here, or damp. So when it's damp, the clear mount stamps don't seem to stick as well. Press it down, make sure it's inked up beautifully. Now you could use a Stamparatus. Now, this is quite a big stamp, so I'm putting it quite low. Let's see. So I don't quite like that as much as the first one. It's still quite pretty, and I won't put any words on that one. You don't have to put words on everyone. Okay, so we've got one more to go. So the last stamp set we're using is the Rooted in Nature stamp set. So again, we're just going to fold our card and use our bone folder to burnish the edge. And turn it over. Put our mask on. You can move the mask wherever you want on the card. I like to have it, try and have it as close to the center as I can. Now, So the Rooted in Nature stamp set, that's actually got a lot of stamps in it. 16 stamps actually, so that's a lot. It's got lots of words, it's got all sorts of things, and it's also got matching dies. Now I actually haven't used this before today, so it's the first time using it, and I'm pretty excited about it actually. So this time, instead of a sponge dauber or a normal sponge, we're just going to use the sponge roller. Now I have a lot of these, so this one's my navy one, and you just, when you're using it, you just ink it lightly. You barely touch it, and you keep doing it towards you. So with this one, I'm going to start off the edge of my card. This is why you have your mask bigger, and just gently roll it. And so I'm doing it, that way and that way, and I just want it to be very subtle, not heavy, just subtle. Now if your mask is smaller than your card front, you're going to get ink where you don't want it, and you're going to have to trim it down. So, right. So the trees in the Rooted in Nature set are much smaller. So again, actually, we can put all 3 trees on the one. Again, get the trusty glue dots out. Right, stuck to my fingernail. This is when you need a take your pick tool. That's okay. Okay. I'm going to stamp this on my scrap first, just to see that I've got them straight, and I don't. You can see that I don't have them straight. So we'll straighten that one up. So we know that we want the trunks straight. I know that not all trees are straight in nature, but we want them fairly close to being straight. Okay, so we're going to ink it up, stamp it off on our scrap, move the scrap out the way, and we're going to just do this one right over to the right hand side of the oval. And then we're just going to move it and stamp it again. Okay. And if you stamped it off twice, moved it up a little bit, and see that you've got a few more trees. Stamp it off again. So you've got a whole forest of trees. Okay. So now, the Rooted in Nature doesn't have a big Christmas tree type thing, so that's okay. We can use a different type of tree. So we're just going to use this one. So we can take our mask off now. And I want to line my trunk of my tree up so that it's straight and the base of the tree is straight. So see, I didn't press that one hard enough. So let's just put that aside because I don't have a stamparatus or stamp positioning tool. I didn't use that for this one. So let's just try this one again. And this was an experiment, so I didn't try this out beforehand. I'm doing this for the first time right now. So yeah, I like those trees a little bit better than the other ones. Okay, let's make sure this is well inked this time. All right, can line it up. Press it down nice and firmly. Oh, much better. So probably I wouldn't do this one like this again. Oh, we've got to add some words. It's okay, but let's put thank you on. Now, I'm not completely happy with it. So I'm going to put the mask back on. I've still got a little bit of ink on this little fella here. And take my glue dot off. And I'm going to add some trees in the background. So ink, and I stamp that off twice. Should I stamp it off again? I'll add a bit of tree over there. Okay, so that's not too bad. I think that's passable. Probably what we could do is move that tree up next time, but it gives you an idea of how you might use it. I'm not completely happy with it, but you've got to try these things. But I am happy with that one. I think that's going to be a really good replacement for that. And I'm very happy with that one. Okay. And we forgot to stamp our envelopes. So let's do that. Stamp one envelope with the little tree. Okay, and the other envelope with the big tree. Okay. Okay, so that is how you could use those stamps. All to do, it's really simple stamping, basically 4 stamps and a bit of sponging. Sorry, 3 stamps and a bit of sponging depending on which one you're using. Okay, remember before I had the card that wasn't quite stamped properly. So what I did is took a few minutes away and I cut a piece of cardstock, which is the same size as the inside white on the note card, and I retried it again. So I'm much happier with the result on this one. So what I'm going to do is just stick it on. So you don't need to waste your cardstock or your note cards if you make a mistake. So I'll stick that on, line it up with the centre. Much better than the one before. So don't think just because you've stamped incorrectly that you can't fix it. And it looks much better than before, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I also wanted to show you something else that I did. Is this one's also with Lovely as a Tree, and so we've only stamped once. And we've added a bit of twine, and I actually stamped it on a smaller piece of white and stuck it on so that I could put the baker's twine in it, and it's really simple card, and you could use that for a thank you or a birthday or a thinking of you. It doesn't have to be hard. And the other thing that I did is I took the Rooted in Nature and the Into the Woods stamp sets and I combined them. So the background here is the Rooted in Nature little trees that I wasn't real happy with before, and I combined it with the big tree from the Winter Woods. But what I'm also going to do is I've got here some shimmery white embossing paste. So I just wanted to show you that you can step it up even more. If I can find my piece. So I've just got, you only need a little bit. This is a brand new pack of shimmery white. And I'm just going to put some little dobs of the shimmery white, and that's probably even too much. I just want to make it look like some snow. I'm just putting some dobs. Wipe off my excess back into, and you can colour this shimmery white embossing paste to different colours. But because we're just doing a navy and white card, and what it does is it just gives a little bit of texture to the card, and you could even put some on the branches if you wanted, but I'm being very frugal with it. Don't want to use too much. So this is just a different way that you can step it up. It just adds a bit of shimmer. So this could be a Christmas card, it could be, I think it'll probably make a really good Christmas card. A little bit more. Now with your embossing paste, you want to make sure that when you're finished with it, that you seal it really well, because it will dry out and you don't want to end up with a big lump of stuff that you can't use. there is just a plain white. So what I would do with this tool is I just wash it in warm water and put your lid on really tight. I keep the foil on it to try and keep some of the moisture in it. So as you can see, it's got some sparkly bits on the trees. It looks like it's got a little bit of snow on the ground. Just steps it up just that little bit. If you wanted, you could put diamantes on the trees or diamantes on the card. So there you go. So you've got the original, the lovely as a tree version, and the stepped up winter woods and rooted in nature version. So all very different. I really hope you enjoyed this project. If you want to see more projects like this, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also to our newsletter. And until next time, happy creating.